All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Authenticity Calling podcast. I am your host, Relitza Spasova, and I'm joined today by Jesse Sansalone Leclerc. Did I pronounce that correctly?
So in Leclerc, the C is silent.
Aha.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell us how it's pronounced then?
Leclerc.
Leclerc.
Yeah. So French.
Leclerc. Okay.
He
I
did
need to go back to French lessons.
he did pronounce Sansalone right, whereas most people screw up.
Okay, okay. Well, it's so great to meet you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your business, built by Elite. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So
Awesome.
my name's Jesse. I'm 31 and currently in the health and fitness space. So I've kind of transitioned from working with women who had hormonal issues, premenopause, perimenopause, menopause, to working more with, I would say, more of like the athlete type of clientele. So working more primarily with men who want to build muscle, men who want to compete, either bodybuilding, men's physique, all that stuff. That's what I've been doing for the last, I want to say since May last year is where I transitioned at. But I've been in the health and fitness space ever since I graduated university. So I graduated with a degree in biochemistry and chose 100% not to pursue it. And kind of just told myself, I'm going to try this whole shot at business. And if it works out, great. And I gave it a full year and it did work. And obviously, COVID with the ups and downs and life, well, we're still here. We're still trying.
That's right. That's right. Well, congratulations on it working. And you're one of the, I think, very few people that try a business and can say that it was successful within a year. I think most people take that really like 4 to 5 year cushion to be able to call their business successful. So congratulations on that. That's huge.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like at the beginning I was significantly more driven because there were no downs. And I was working a lot. Like I'm talking Monday to Sunday, 10 to 12-hour days during the week, 5 to 6 hours on the weekend for something like 3 years straight.
Yeah.
Um, a lot. I wish I now had that drive when I need it, but back then I was extremely driven. And had I known everything I know now about pricing and everything, maybe I wouldn't have been so busy because a lot of
Okay.
people are paying pennies as to what things are, people are paying for things now.
Okay.
But I do find that back then things were a little bit easier for everybody, especially the cost of living and all that. So things were significantly more affordable, but I also didn't know the value of my business. So it was even more affordable for people then.
Yes. Yeah. So I hear there's a lesson in there. And do you mind just because I know there's a lot of entrepreneurs, there's a lot of new coaches, people who are maybe not new in business, but could potentially gain some insight from that. Do you mind just kind of you circling back? So if you were to tell your younger self or yourself when you were starting your business a lesson, what was that main key lesson and how would you apply it differently now?
Yeah, so I would say it's like don't be scared to charge what you think you're worth and be okay having people say no to your price
Yeah.
and not devalue yourself just to lock in a client.
Mm,
I did what I had to do and I'm grateful that I did it because I was fresh, I was new, I never had clients,
yeah.
but I did leverage all the clients I had at a low ticket offer and did promote the hell out of them to make myself look like that coach who has worked with, all of those clients. So
Mm.
it did play to my benefit. Though I do think I was 2 years too late in charging what I was worth, as I only started doing that as of last year.
Okay.
I mean, it's
Okay.
okay. Like it did work. It did give me a lot of social proof. It did give me a lot of credibility. So I'm thankful for that.
For
Though
sure.
from the monetary side of things, I think like I'm still trying to learn that lesson even today.
Got it. Got it. So there's something really important that you say and that you continue to repeat, and I just want to bring our awareness to that is charge my worth. And
Yes.
so I used to think about my business as the same. It's charge my worth. But through the coaching that I've done and through a lot of the support that I've received through my certifications, we've been able to reframe that it's actually just your service, your offer, your package. And so when we think of it that way, it's like you wouldn't expect to go to the hair salon and be charged $20 for a service that everyone else is charging $100 for, $120 for.
Right.
So it's interesting because when we think of it that way, it's like you are inherently worthy, you are priceless. Like there's no value or money that you can put on yourself. But then
Right.
when it comes to your service, and the other thing is a lot of people I think like to compare services instead of really trusting intuitively what comes through and what the value output is for the client. I think
Right.
that's really important too.
maybe not the phrase charge your worth, but charge the value that the client receives. I would
Yes.
so especially in my business, right? So a lot of what I offer that a lot of other coaches do not is a lot of people will charge you a high ticket price, but put you in a group approach where you got to wait 30 minutes on a group call to ask a question in which you get assigned 5 minutes. So everything I do is one-on-one. Everybody has my phone number so they can contact me whenever they want. I'm always there. I support, I give calls, I literally give everything.
Yeah.
Someone, if someone fails in my coaching program, it's because they're not listening and not doing what they're supposed to, because they have no
Mm,
reason to fail. So
mm.
I would say that you charge based on the results you're able to deliver.
Yeah, I love that. And that is very client driven. And you're absolutely right. I think a lot of people from the client perspective. So there's going to be people listening that are potential clients, not coaches. And then there is probably going to be a pretty wide audience of coaches that listen as well. And so I think it's important to really ground and honor that it does take that personal responsibility and commitment, even if you have a coach. Just like professional athletes, they can have coaches that yell at them, that tell them what to do, that have a perfect fitness routine, that have, all of the exercises, all of the mindset tools, all the psychology that's correct. But if they don't actually commit to doing their own work, it's never going to work, right? We're not magicians, we're
That's
coaches.
it. That's it. And I find there's two types of clients as well. There's clients who want, but they're the worst clients. My best clients are the ones that don't even message me.
That's right.
They don't message me. They fill in their check-in every week. I send a response and I don't even get a thank you. But those are my best clients. They're the ones that
Mhm.
they have all the results. It is what it is. And they're usually the ones that don't complain about the current price. I'm like, this is the price. They're like, all right, sign me up. I'm ready to commit for a year. And I'm like, okay.
Awesome.
And some of these people, I don't even know what they look like on a live call because they don't book calls. They're like, yeah, just
Wow.
my check in and I'm good.
Yeah.
And from the results, their pictures and everything, they're good. And I've had clients who I know were in financial difficulties. So I went out of my way and I helped them out. I'm
Mm.
like, don't worry, we'll figure something out. And then they're like, well, you don't provide me 30 days of personalized nutrition plans. You don't message me to go to the gym. You don't check in on me every single day, 10 times a day. You don't do this. I'm like, well, I mean, who does that?
That's right.
You-
Yeah.
at a certain point, you have to take responsibility for yourself. You're an adult, you're grown up. You
Yes.
should be able to say, okay, this is the plan provided. Now I'm going to take it upon
That's right.
myself in the butt to follow it to the highest degree I can. And if there's some sort of gap that I'm missing, then I can reach out to my coach and say, okay, well, can you help me figure something out for this little piece of the puzzle it's missing? But instead, it's like I want everything
Mhm.
and still complain because I'm too lazy to apply what's given to me.
That's so interesting. So when you say that too lazy thing, what comes up to me and kind of when you were sharing before, I think a lot of people they hire coaches or they sign up to work with coaches because they really do need that accountability because their lives are so busy and there's so many other things that they prioritize over themselves that
Sure.
when they come last on the list, it's not so simple to just go and do the thing, right? So I feel like those people who, yeah, who come with, financial restrictions, who come with, it's the way that they do everything in life that actually causes that, which makes them not as, what's the right word to use? I don't want to say bad clients because I don't think anyone's a bad client. I think it just takes a
Coachable.
little bit more energy.
Yeah, they're not coachable, I would say.
Yeah, I do think so. So I want to differentiate between the client who needs that extra deep dive, like somatic, emotional, really coaching around their limiting subconscious beliefs, because I think those people are coachable in a different way, right? I think when it comes to fitness, when it comes to exercise, when it comes to nutrition, when it comes to all of those things, I've hired my own coach and she's amazing. However, in December, I was having a lot of resistance. Like I didn't go to the gym once. I didn't do my home workouts. I was so resistant because I recognize that I internally have committed to honoring my feminine energy a lot more this year. And because the approach was very masculine, it was very like push through, do it anyway, go ahead, crush it. And there was just so much resistance in me. And so I recognized it because I'm a coach, but I think most people wouldn't. And I
Right.
said, you know what, this approach doesn't work for me. And she's like, well, maybe you have worth issues. Maybe you have this, maybe you have that. I said, yeah, maybe, but and then like let's work on it. Like coach me on it, right?
Right.
Which are deeper issues that a lot of
Yeah.
people don't coach on.
Right. And I think as a coach, you have to be able to coach the client the way that they need to be coached.
That's right.
But I do think that there's a certain level in which people blame the coach
Hmm.
for things that they know themselves they're not going to do.
Yeah.
Right. And I speak this from experience. So like I had this client and I explained to her exactly how I work. And she's like, this is exactly what I need. I'm like, no problem. But I knew within 5 minutes of being on a call with her that she's not already somebody that I would work with because I already knew it was going to be a package of headaches. But I took her on because she was a friend of one of my good clients, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what? I'll take her on and I'll see.
Yeah.
But I already knew that it wasn't going to work out. Like I knew. So I'm there and I provide everything to her. And she sat down in front of me and I took 2 hours out of my day to go A to Z, explain everything. She's like, crystal clear. Perfect. Then I see her for her first session and she's like, can we speak about it, a few things in the program? And we sit down and she's asking me the same questions I just answered 2 days ago.
Hmm.
Already I'm like, okay, but this is someone who's just like, and I even send videos explaining all of these questions. So she has the videos, but instead of taking the responsibility to go and watch the resources that are provided to her that she can watch over and over and over and over again, she'd
Hmm.
rather just sit down and just, you know, waste time, right? Because
Mm.
I don't know how to explain it, but it's like,
Mm.
and then later she brought up the whole fact that it's like, well, you don't text me every single day to train. I'm like,
Right.
well, you get notifications in the app every single day.
Mm.
A responsibility to get up and go to the gym. I told you, I myself, I am here every day between these hours. So
Hmm.
if you need extra motivation while you're here, I'm here. But
Yes.
middle-aged woman, I will not force you to go to the gym because that's not what you need. You don't need someone to force you. And I guarantee you, if I text you every single day, you still won't show up because she had excuses
Mm.
to everything. She was always late.
Mm.
So I think that some of these people have, I guess, issues that root deeper than just trying to validate or get someone to provide all of these unnecessary things and cause them hardships in the way that they coach when they know it's not going to help.
Hmm. Interesting. So then how do you support people who have that sort of it to me that's an internal resistance. That's what I'm seeing.
Absolutely. So I told her, I'm like, you tell me what it is that you need and I will provide it.
Mm.
She's like, well, I need you to text me and I need this and I need that. And I'm like, okay, I understand. But hear me out. I know it's not going to help you, but if this is what you want, I will still do it.
Mm.
And I wasn't wrong. Like I did what she wanted. And it was just the resistance was in here. It's just she was just not willing to do the work. So I
Mm.
text her every morning, hey, just checking in. Did you train today? Oh, I can't. I work too much. Well, what time do you work at today? I work at 11. Okay. Well, it's 9 a.m. You got time to go for an hour? Yeah, but I won't have time and this and I woke up too late. It's like, okay, well, what can we do to wake up earlier? Oh, I can't wake up earlier. I go to bed too late. Well, what can we do to go to bed earlier? Oh, but I can't go to bed earlier because of that. So it's like whenever you try to resolve an issue, there's
Mhm.
always another excuse to kind of reason as to why I can't fix that issue. So at a
Yeah.
certain point, it's just you're not coachable. You're not willing
Mm.
to be coachable.
Yeah. So that's the interesting part. So that excuses what you brought up. The way we do one thing is the way we do everything, right? And I
100.
think it's exactly those clients who I feel like could use that extra kick to take, like you say, personal responsibility. And if it's coming from a place of an internal I'm not good enough, then
Mhm.
it's all of the other things that come before them. And that is why they become uncoachable. It's my son actually said it perfectly. He said, do you know why you're not a millionaire yet? I said, why? He's like, because you're not selfish enough. My 9-year-old son said this to me, right? He's like, you're more worried about, my mother, like grandma. You're more worried about me. You're more worried about taking care of everyone else. And he's like, that's why you're not a millionaire. And this just came out like I call him my little guru. He's like, he gets downloads from the universe all the time. He was born an old soul. But it's true. It's that lack of taking personal responsibility, but also self-priority, which I think is very, very common more common in women than it is with men. So I'm really curious about your pivot. You said you used to work with women who were having hormonal issues and so on, and now you shifted to men. So I'm curious, what was your inspiration to work with women with hormonal issues? And then what was your desire to pivot towards working with men?
Yeah. So on record, I still do work with women. I just don't market it as much. I still
That's
have
right.
a heavy portion of my in-person clientele who are women.
Hmm.
And my inspiration for that was actually my mother. So my mother does suffer from thyroid issues
Okay.
and, the whole menopause and all that stuff. And it's like, I wanted to help her so bad,
Yeah,
but she'll listen to everybody and their grandson before she'll accept the help from me.
of course.
Right. But we all know that that's how it is when it comes to family and people we're
Yes.
close to. So I'm
Yeah.
like, screw it. You don't want my help? Well, I'll take all the money I spent on all this education and it will help people who want the help. So that's
Yes.
what I did. At the time I was marketing myself towards them. Uh,
Amazing.
and it worked well. I had a lot of people with a lot of success, but I guess I got frustrated because I had a hard time to market myself towards them because I'm not a woman. So it's very hard for me to
Mm.
relate. So I got to a point where it's like, well, how can I post content about problems which I've never experienced? And I'm very
Mm.
big on that. Like, I understand there's coaches out there who are fantastic at coaching women with a specific issue,
Mm.
but I'm a hard believer that I can't sell myself on coaching towards or through this problem if it's not something I've experienced,
Mm.
right? So I
That's
can't,
so interesting. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I can't sit down and say, yeah, I know exactly how you feel. Like,
Okay.
yes, maybe through vicariously through other people and listening to their experiences, you can have an idea. But do you actually really have an idea? Like I wholeheartly believe we don't.
So I want to bring your attention to one thing that came up. I heard it yesterday or the day before. Someone said, I have a medical background. I haven't had every single disease process, right? So there's no way I could know what patients are going through, right? And so in terms of diagnosis, we learn from a textbook about symptoms. Hopefully one day we see these symptoms, we see people with them. But many times we won't actually ever know what they're going through.
Right.
Number one. So I want to just poke curiosity around that belief system because I I'm gonna call bullshit
Mhm.
because because the medical system sort of works, right?
Yeah.
The other side that I just want to bring our attention to is speaking on issues when it comes to
Right.
coaching, yes, it's important, I think, to have an expertise behind what you do from experience, from working with that clientele, from, as you said, getting results, supporting clients to get their own results. But I just
Right.
want to really highlight that coaching is not mentorship, coaching is not advising, coaching is not consulting. Those three things I think are really important that you've had your own personal experience with so that you can be that person that's been through it. I think coaching is very different and misunderstood in the sense that coaching actually supports people to find their own answers. And
Right.
the fact that you have seen your mother go through it, and the fact that these are issues that you've addressed with many other people before and you've had great success, to me, sometimes brings a level of you can never know what the client's going through, and you can still ask because you don't know. You can ask more curious questions, you can go deeper because I do believe that everyone's experience is so individual and unique. Sure, the biochemistry is similar, and sure, like, there are certain similarities theoretically. But I think it's really supportive actually when coaches haven't gone through it. And there is this sort of belief system around coaching where it's like, oh, you have to be 3 steps ahead of your client.
I don't
And I
do
don't
that.
think that's always true.
No, I don't think so because I've had a bunch of people who've hit me with issues that I didn't even know about. So I had to go
Yes,
and do my own due diligence and my homework, right?
yes,
And because I come from a science background, I'm able to kind of fish, I guess, the correct answers from the right sources.
yes.
But for me, the whole pivot, it's not because I couldn't help them and ask the right questions. It's just I got to a point where it's like I didn't know what kind of content to put out there anymore.
I
Right.
see.
I guess I didn't feel comfortable from a content standpoint to
I
make
see.
certain claims and certain things
Got
because
it.
there'd be a lot of resistance and be like, well, you're not a woman, you don't understand how to battle, cravings, or you're not a woman, you don't understand this. It's like, you're right. I don't understand. I'm not there. I'm not living it.
Totally.
But vicariously through working with certain people, I have enough of an idea to
Mhm.
give an educated, what I think would be a good process to kind of mitigate some of these things.
Mhm.
But it was just the whole wrapping my head around how to do all that. I was like, I don't know if I can. It's not me.
Mm,
It didn't feel
mm,
authentic. So I'm like, let me just go back to my roots. So
mm.
competitive bodybuilder. I've been through it. I used to be that skinny kid who was 115 pounds soaking wet in university.
Yeah.
Let me just promote towards that.
Yes.
And I like working with competitors. It's like they are the least resistant clients ever, in the
Yeah.
majority of them. I'm like, all right, no more carbs. Okay, no problem.
Yes. They're
And it's
driven. They have the gold star. They have the vision. Yeah, they're
exactly
set.
because
Yeah.
that's how I was.
Yes.
Like you should see my communication with my coach on on the coaching level. He'll adjust my calories. I'm like, thumbs up, perfect.
Yes.
And I just follow it. So it's like, I guess I kind of wanted those kinds of same types of clients.
Yes. Yeah. And how I just want to reflect how in integrity that is and how beautiful it is that you notice the resistance. You notice the universe bringing you clients that said, well, you don't know what it's like. And
Mhm.
instead of pushing through and trying to prove yourself, you said, you know what, this is maybe somewhere where I can shift. I can shift to something that's more easeful, more aligned, more, my own passion and purpose and experience. And that is such a beautiful thing. So,
Absolutely. I think some people are too forceful to try to find ways to make it work instead of,
yes.
all right, well, let's try something else. Because I know I can help these women. I've done it, I've proven it, I have the case studies, I had the results. Like I know it works. But it gets to a certain point where people are just so resistant to what actually works. They're like, well, why do I have to not eat this because I have thyroid issues? It's like, well, because this, and this, and this. They're like, but what about my cravings? Well, at a certain point, you have to suffer, right? And then as a
Mm,
man, when I'm saying that, and they're like, but you don't understand, I'm like, you're right, I don't. But you won't
yes.
listen to me because I'm a man. So what do you want me to
Mm,
do? You
interesting.
and that's not true for all cases, because I know a lot of successful male coaches who work with females and they're fantastic at it.
Mhm.
I just didn't, I guess I just didn't want to be in a position where I had to justify all the time as to why
Mm,
it works and why you should listen to me, even though I haven't been through it.
yeah, yeah. And I think it's just it's so much bigger than us. Like it's so much bigger than just you. To me, I'm hearing that you were called into a space to do something that you've already been through that you're actually really passionate about. You love doing, your clients love that you are supporting them to do something that you've done. And it's to me, it's just again that universal resistance. Sometimes resistance is because there's growth on the other side of it, but sometimes resistance is misalignment. And I just want to honor so much that you were so aware that this misalignment, it wasn't working anymore. And instead of pushing hard against it, you said, okay, how can I pivot? Right? Like, what's the more approachable way? What's the more easeful way to go about my business? Let me do this. That is actually in your wheelhouse, right? It is in your gift. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you're sourcing for clients and you're sending cold DMs, and my approach is I'm very genuine. So if I see a guy, I'm like, hey, solid physique, bro. How long have you been training? They're like, hey, thanks, man. And then if I see a girl and I'm like, hey, amazing physique, how long have you been training for? They're like, I have a boyfriend. I'm like,
Right.
hitting on me. You know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
it just came even from like a client sourcing perspective. It just made it so much more difficult. When I was running ads, it was perfect. It's fine because
Yeah.
they came to me. When
Yes.
I was doing the cold approach or the DMing and everything, it's like I was left on red a lot. I was rejected from asking people out who I've never asked out. It's
Yeah.
like there were
Yeah.
so many factors, and I'm just like, okay, but like people can be friendly without it having to be all about hitting on you. I'm like, that's not.
Exactly.
It's like if you
Exactly.
took 2 seconds to look at my page, you would know I was in a relationship.
Right.
Yeah, so it was just like I guess I was just tired of like trying to find different ways to optimize my time when it came for sourcing for clients as well. I was like, it's too time consuming at this point. I'm spending 4 hours sending DMs to
Yeah.
get 30 responses back, and half of them are like not interested. It's like, okay, well,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
right, try something else.
Beautiful. Yeah, no, I love that. And again, I honor so much that you trusted, the feedback you were getting from your clients, from what I call it's a universal feedback, right? We're all just mechanisms to support each other. We are the reflection. We get to learn from each other. So yeah, that's so beautiful. We had a conversation in our messaging before this, and there was something about resistance. I was going to go back into it, but I don't want to be distracted from our conversation. Do you remember what that was about? There was some resistance that we had talked about. Maybe it was like a sense of responsibility, an overarching sense of responsibility. There was something there that we talked about. I'll look into the messages if you can't
Yeah,
remember.
yeah, I don't remember exactly with
Okay.
what? Because we did speak about a few different
A lot of
topics.
different things, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know what? Let's speak. I'm really curious about your perspective. Let's speak on this whole like clients from the perspective of approaching clients and DMing clients and getting their buy-in, right, to what you have to offer. I think it's really interesting because I think a lot of coaches have resistance around that. And I think part of it is that I don't want to look needy. I don't want to look like I don't want to look like that person that's trying to get you to do something that maybe you're not ready to do, or like people don't want to feel too salesy. And I love what you said, that you just you connect with people because you are genuinely interested. You really do see that person as they're already committed to what you're supporting them with, right? You are giving them a genuine message about their physique or how far they've gotten, and you're offering support. So if you were a new coach and you didn't know anything about this, what would you say? Because this, it seems like it's a very authentic and easeful way for you to connect with people, again, because you've been there before, because you genuinely, like, you see the connection already before it's even started.
Yeah.
What would you say to new coaches that are trying to figure out their niche from what you've learned from your experience, or even clients who are trying to find the right coach? Like, what is, I feel like there's something there that you can say.
Yeah. So to answer your first part, I guess like I think the best approach is the like to be authentic, be you. And
Mhm.
I can send you screenshots. I get hit up at least 10 times a day from business coaches, copywriters, this. And like I had this guy who sent me this message this morning. He's like, "Hey, I think I have this kind of disease where I just cold message people on Instagram all day, but it's for good reason and blah 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 blah." And my response to him was, "You might want to get that medically checked out." Like I just shut him down because
Yeah,
like he was saying hi and then trying to pitch himself already. It's like, I'm not interested. And if you
yeah,
took 2 seconds to actually get to know me, you'd know that I'm already working with someone with this, or I've done it
yes,
myself or whatever. So I find a lot of people are just going in for the headshot right away, where it's my approach is complete opposite. I talk to people as if they're people I've met already in the gym, where it's like,
yeah,
hey, nice work, solid physique. I've noticed your transformation, or congratulations on hitting your new personal record or whatever. So I talk to them from like, I'm sending you this DM to not try to sell you on anything.
yeah,
I'm just genuinely complimenting you. And then what happens is they'll appreciate it. They'll feel like, oh wow, you actually took time to look at my stuff.
that's right.
They'll result in either a follow back or you can have an engaging conversation. And all of my online clients who have stuck with me to this day are all people who I've used that exact same genuine approach. I did not
Yeah,
try to sell anybody, and some people I was talking to them for 4 months before they're like, hey, you know what? Like, let's get on a call. Let's explore this a little bit.
yeah,
So that's what I did. And then to answer your question about what niche, so for me, I just found it the easiest thing to relate to was what I was currently interested in. So I
hmm,
was looking for people who wanted to compete because I just recently got back into competing,
yeah,
and it's what my life right now is currently all about. So I'm like, there's no better people to pitch to than people who want to currently kind of submerge themselves in that lifestyle. So
yeah,
that's what I went. So I would say, I guess the best client avatar is, who are you currently? What are you trying to be?
yeah.
Are you able to get there? Do you know how to get there? Is it something you've done before? If so, then well, you would probably be able to coach someone else to walk those same steps.
There you have it, your authentic journey. So many of the coaches that do say, pick a niche where you're a few steps ahead of the people that you will be supporting is because
Yep.
you've been there and you're currently there with them. And that's actually why I really love masterminds. And I noticed you said something earlier about group coaching. And I think it's really powerful when people are working towards something together because of the energy that comes. And I also love what you said about supporting people one-on-one. So that's something very similar that I have. All of my clients can message me anytime, voice note, whatever. But there's so many people that have so many different styles of support requirements, like you mentioned. Some people want to be messaged every single day, and others actually don't. They prefer not to have that.
Yep.
And so creating a one-on-one package is so interesting because it is so different and unique.
Mhm.
And I think that group approach of accountability is really powerful too, because the
Yep.
people who want more accountability can actually connect with each other and provide that accountability for one another instead of it all falling onto the coach, which I think energetically is a lot more pleasing anyways.
Yeah, so I kind of take my own spin on that. So I don't pitch the group approach, but if I know that two people are walking the same path, I'll try to link them together.
Beautiful.
So for now, it's like I have three guys competing in the same show and they didn't really know each other. So I set up a posing session. I had all three of them meet and then
Wow.
group chat and like, all right, guys, we're all competing together. So let's support each other. You know, you're all in different
That's
categories.
awesome.
So I find like I'm very sensitive with that because I know like for me personally, I hate group approach. I
Okay.
know it's the best, it's less expensive and all that, but I don't like it because sometimes I just don't feel comfortable sharing certain experiences
Hmm.
of a bunch of people. I also feel like for the amount of money I'm paying, I might not necessarily get as much value as I want, especially if you're on a group call and you
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of points you have to make. And sometimes you're under pressure, you're under time, you might not necessarily think of something right away. Well,
Yeah.
now you have to wait a week to get that call answered, or you post in a group and then you got to wait 3 days for someone to answer.
Mm.
That's like maybe it could be from negative experiences from other courses that it was part of.
Yeah.
I'm very sensitive on it. Like I'll offer it to, I think if people will benefit from it.
Yeah.
And then also with like the way you coach your clients, well, as you work with them, you kind of learn them. So you can kind of tailor your coaching to them.
That's
A lot
right.
of my clients really don't require much attention at all, but I do have some who book their calls in every week or I check in with them more frequently. So I kind of cater myself to each and every single client.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
Mm-hmm.
on a very personal level with them. Like I actually speak to them like they're friends. Like I
Yeah.
don't look at them as just a number, which allows me to even coach them better because I know them as a person and not just as a number.
That's right. That's right. And you're over serving in that way. Like that is you really genuinely connecting and wanting to be there. And that is so energetically pleasing. And it's yeah,
Mhm.
it's just such a gift to be able to support people and really that to me that's a spiritual connection. It's not a transactional experience. And so
Right.
even with coaching, when we talk about numbers and pricing and all of that, it's like I created my pricing intuitively. When I didn't listen to my intuition, when I underpriced my services, it was crickets, like no one signed up. And then all of a sudden I agreed with myself basically, like my higher self said, this is the number for what you're doing. This is the transformation that you're supporting people with. This is the number that you're supposed to be using. And I trusted it and I put it out there and boom, there were all the clients. And so I think sometimes it's that initial connecting with ourselves and our intuition. And again, for me, I'm supporting men and women. And it's interesting that you said, that the people that take action, you really love working with men now because they have a goal, they have a vision, they're ready to take action. It's a very easeful process. And what you said about working with men one-on-one. So I noticed that women love to share in community, men don't. And so that's been my approach as well. The energy that I've been seeing and trusting is women like group coaching and men like one-on-one. And that's kind of where I've been feeling very successful as well. And there have been a lot more men that have been coming to me. And so I'm curious to ask you from the perspective of being a man and supporting men and kind of seeing where group versus one-on-one works better. What would you say is the most um, energetically pleasing outcome? Because I do provide one-on-one support outside of the group coaching container. But the group coaching container does have that synergistic quality to it. So coming from the perspective of a man who would potentially sign up for coaching, not pitching at all. This is just from your perspective and your professionalism, having worked with men, and just my curiosity that comes through right now. What would you say? I have my corporate career. I do coaching as like my calling and my service back to humanity. What would you say is a good approach to invite these potential clients who my team has, brought to me? I don't want to tell them, sorry, I don't have time to support you. I would love to support them.
Mhm.
And from what I'm hearing from you, sometimes group coaching doesn't work. So does anything come through for you on that?
So I think, I think context plays like a big role in this. So like if I was at a point where I have way too many clients to support one-on-one, I think a group coaching approach would work. But the way I would run my group coaching is I wouldn't do one call for everybody. I think I would subdivide it into smaller groups so that way you can still give that attention to people because that's something that a lot of these people still aren't doing. They're still stuffing as many people as possible into
Mm-hmm.
one call. Now, if you have a call which is important, for example, content creation, where 99% of coaches struggle with because they don't know how to make the right content or whatever, and you have 75 people attending this 1 hour call, and you have 20 people raising their hands to have question answered, how would you possibly give everybody the same amount? Whereas, yes, if you take a little bit more time and you kind of subdivide these so everyone can get the right attention, I think this would be more gratifying, at least for me. And I
Mhm.
don't care if I have to put a little bit more time,
That's right.
as you're delivering the level of service that people need. So
Mhm.
again,
That
I'm
feels really
speaking,
juicy. Yeah.
yeah, I feel like I'm speaking a little bit from negative experience,
Totally. Yeah.
but
I've had the
if,
same negative experience
yeah,
actually. Yeah.
right. And if I were to create something like that, I would take from the experiences that I had that I know were negative, and I know I'm not the only person who had felt
Mhm.
that way.
Mhm.
And I would just create something that I know if I was in a program, it would work better for me. And
That's
if it
right.
works better for me, there are some people out there who have some sort of negative approach or negative mindset around what they had done. And this approach might work better for them.
That's right. Yeah. No, I love what you said about that. And it's true. I think smaller groups is where it's at. Even I was on a team, we did some L&D, learning and development for adult learning, and the best group size is 6 to 12 people, right? For groups.
I
And then you
agree.
see all these giant groups of like hundreds of people on a call. It's really challenging. And I want to say that one person that I've seen do this really powerfully is my mentor coach, Alyssa Nobriga. She has a coaching group, like she coaches coaches, right? She used to be a therapist, created a coaching program, and she stays on the call up to 2 hours longer just to answer every single person's question, right? And so, and she asks for questions ahead of time, and she addresses everyone, and I think that was really beautifully done. And so yeah, taking those learnings from both. But I want to thank you so much. We're at the top of the hour, and I really respect your time and your energy and just, yeah, your gifts on this call. Is there something that you want to share with the audience, something, some way that they can get in touch with you? If they've heard something and they want to connect with you, how can they do that?
Yeah, so they can connect with me on Facebook at Jesse Sansalone Leclerc, on Instagram at fit.coach.jesse. Um, Not really active on TikTok, but those would be the primary ways that they can get in contact with me. Or if someone wanted to message me on a personal level, I'd be more than happy to share my WhatsApp phone number with them as well.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing, and I'll put those in the show notes when the show airs. But thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate what you're doing. Love the clients that you're serving. And yeah, just keep doing your thing in such a powerful way. And thank you for your feedback and just kind of being in this co-creative space with me as I kind of mindstorm whatever is coming my way. So yeah, it's such a beautiful time together.
Yes, I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jesse. Take care.
Bye.